Call to order the Catawba County Board of Education regular meeting for May 19th, 2025. If you'll please stand, we will have a moment of silence followed by the presentation of colors. This year we got to go on 2 different overnight field trips. So we went to South Carolina. We put some poster boards up outside there. Hopefully you got a chance to take a look at those. We went down to South Carolina, got to go look at some F-16. We spent some time out on one of the lakes there doing some recreation and team building. I think one of the posters out there, the caption says, "If your friend jumped off a bridge, would you?" The answer is no, but they would jump off a boat dock into water. All right, so we had a little pole plunge there. Got to do some fun with that. Did some fundraising along the way, a lot of other activities out there within the community as we work to develop citizen care, our role within JRCs. And this past, actually just a couple weeks ago, they convinced me, and also appreciate the funds that we get from the board and from you all as well on those things going in. We actually went back down to Carolina Beach, Prairie Beach area. We got to go to the national or the state aquarium while we were down there, and some other recreation. There may or may not have been another polar plunge challenge at the beach there. There may or may not, no jellyfish were harmed in the incident, but one of my cadets may or may not have terrorized from the other group carrying jellyfish around trying to catch them with it on those things too. But fitness is a part of it as well, right? So we got to keep that going along the way too. On the way back, we stopped at Goldsboro, North Carolina. Just so happens they were having an air show that day, so we stopped there. We got to see the United States Air Force Thunderbirds flying around, so that was a good chance to get to do that and talk to some of the fine men and women that are serving down there, ask them about their jobs, and share our aspirations with them as well. years so far, we're still not done yet. We got one more thing to do. All right, so let's see. If I start out on my left side over there, Cadet Gabby Hernandez, freshman this year. This is her second semester in JRTC, and she's been doing a fantastic job out there. All the community service events that we've been doing, she's been doing that. She was a key part of the Wreaths Across America, which is a national event that they have with a lot of the national cemeteries, laying wreaths on those. She's one of our key focal points for Wreaths Across America. Next to her, Easton English, and junior. When do we flip to seniors? After graduation, right? So you're still a junior right now? Okay, all right, and we're doing a credit check too, right? All right, cool. Yeah, so junior right now, Easton has been a great job. He's been our champion for community service this year. Had a very successful book drive that we did for the community for 200 some books collected. So he's done a fantastic job with that. I'm looking forward for great things from him. Next to him, Cadet Jocelyn Evelyn. For my first semester cadets couldn't fit it in the second semester, but I can't keep her away from it. She's still like, sir, where's the other color guards going? What else can I do to be a part of it? So she's been great carrying that through, even though she wasn't in the class this semester, still being a part of it. And here she is this evening. I think you're still going to do graduation a couple other things, right? You're not done yet. Still working. And finally, next to her, Cadet CJ Dibbler. Dibbler is also a freshman as well. And he's been doing amazing things, helping us out with things. He has a real passion for drill and for the uniform and those types of things. So he's really working on that. He's excited about getting together as a drill team next year and working through that drill. So he's really been working on his focus and everything this year to be prepared to take that on for next year. So I'm looking for exciting things from him next year. With that, thank you again for having us tonight. Thank you all for being here as well.
Next on the agenda is the approval of minutes from the regular meeting on April 28th and also the dual meeting with the commissioners on May 1st of 2025.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion to approve the minutes from April 28th and the May 1st meeting as presented.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from April 28th, 2025 and May 1st, 2025, shall raise a hand. And that is unanimous. Next on the agenda is adjustment approval of the agenda. Here that we're going to remove new business number 10 from the agenda for tonight. Are there any other adjustments that need to be made? If there are none, I need a motion for approval.
I'll make that motion.
I second.
Hearing a motion and a second, I seek to approve the agenda with the removal of new business number 10. All those approved shall raise a hand. That is unanimous. Next is the superintendent's report by Dr. Stover.
Chairman Settlemeyer, members of the board, probably don't need to tell everyone, this is the last week of school. And what a great week. We've had a great year in Catawba County. Thank you all for your leadership, our staff and our schools. I see our principals here. I see some teachers here. We got some students here tonight. What a wonderful year in Catawba County Schools because of the people who are in it. So thank you all. That being said, we're going to honor some of our students tonight. If you'd like me to meet out front, or if you could meet me out front, we'll shake hands and see some incredible artwork and some incredible art teachers. All right, like every good school system, we'll go in alphabetical order. We'll start with Ban Oak Elementary School. Ban Oak was our winner is Addison Wellner, 4th grade. Her art teacher is Miss Michaela Wynn, and I see Principal Jordan Goodson here tonight. Thank you all for coming. Addison, come on up. Let's give her a big round of applause. Miss Wynn too, please. Also want to thank our families for joining tonight. I see brother and mom and dad. Thank you all for coming. You want me to do it or do you want to?
Everybody up here?
I'll explain to you all what this is. This is our second time doing a presentation. So, all great ideas are stolen. So we were down at Maiden High School. We saw a principal's award start at some point at Maiden High School. 10 years ago, Ms. Pacer, thank you. And, we've always been looking for something to make this look more student-friendly, right? And what a great way to show our artwork off. So what we're going to do is these paintings and drawings and all the artwork will be decorating our boardroom. And what a great reminder of why we do what we do. So thank you all. That kind of explains what that is. Moving on to Bandy's High School, we have 2 winners from Bandy's High School. The first one is Kiara Taylor, 11th grade. Our art teacher is Miss Jessica Van Esseltine and Principal Dr. Chad Maynor. Let's give her a big round of applause. And next from Bandy's High School is Paulina Vera Vincents. Is it Vincents? Vincents. Okay, great. Paulina, thank you for your artwork. And her teacher again is Miss Jessica Van Esseltine, of course, with Mr. Chad Maynor, Dr. Chad Maynor. Let's give her a big round of applause. All right, and last but not least, from Maiden High School is Enya Campos, 10th grade. Art teacher is Miss Sherry Paysor, and our principal is Mr. Brian Hefner, I see back there. Thank y'all. Say real quick, I want to thank our teachers and students. And if you don't mind, can I get my picture with y'all real quick? Our students and your artwork. I was up here doing this. That's on me. So students, will you come back up here? Can I get my picture with y'all so I'm famous one day? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, can we do it with the I'm so sorry. Let's do it with the picture. Okay. Yeah. That is good setup. Come on up, let's get, I'd like to- I'll slide that, yep, go ahead, go on the back, yep, yep. Yeah. Done it thoroughly, my fault. It's all right. Not very efficient. That way. Ready, 3, 2, 1. Families, thank you all for coming and sharing your students. Thank you very much. All right. Good job. Thank you. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is public comment, which will be led by Clayton Mullis.
The Catawba County Board of Education appreciates and welcomes all public comments. Members of the public who have signed up to speak may address board members on a topic of concern during the public comment section of regular meeting. Each speaker will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes to address Catawba County Board of Education members. A time clock will be displayed to assist each speaker with their 3-minute time limit. Speakers should direct comments to board members rather than to the audience. Comments by members of the public should be respectful without slander toward any other member of public, community member, or any member of the Catawba County Board of Education. Any displays of approval or disapproval are out of order unless otherwise directed by the board chair. At this time, we have one person signed up to speak, and that's Miss Sandy Jarvis.
Thank you very much. One of the North Carolina Moms for Liberty legislative agendas is to remove obscene and explicit materials from public schools. This session, we partnered with legislators and participated in writing the bill HB 636, promoting wholesome content for students. And I'm glad to say this bill did survive crossover and is now in the Senate. I'm here today to provide the board a list of 20 books that are available to students at inappropriate age levels. I understand there's a process for the discussion of appropriateness of books in the Catawba County school system. However, when a book is promoted by the publisher for a certain age range and listed in your school system library catalog for a particular age, then the school board should be able to act on this information. For example, Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell, I understand, was challenged and retained through the book challenge process. However, the publisher lists the age range for this book as 14 plus, and the library search catalog for the school system lists grades 9 through 12 twice under the additional information. This book is located at Jacobs Ford Middle, Riverbend Middle, and Mill Creek Middle School. Therefore, I'm asking the school board to take action and move these books to more appropriate, age-appropriate media centers. Why is the book Shiver at Jacobs Ford Middle School? This is listed for grades 9 through 12 and contains scenes of bestiality. The book Speak is at Jacobs Ford Middle and Riverbend Middle. It has scenes of rape, high school relationships, emotional mental issues, and is recommended for ages 14 to 18. The book Lexicon by Max Berry is at St. Stephen's High School. It has very explicit sex scenes and is advertised for adult audiences. Why does an elementary school child need to read about middle school crushes and be exposed to issues about sexual identity? The book Drama is at Mountain View, Startown, Tuttle, and Catawba elementary schools. Even the book reviewers don't know what age level is appropriate. In the library search catalog, it's listed as grades 3 through 6, 5 to 8, 5 to 9, and 6 to 8. If the adults are confused, then the children are going to be confused. Maybe in this instance, a more conservative approach is warranted and move these books to the middle school. Lastly, there are books listed in the catalog that are listed as professional. A Boy Named It, intended for ages 14 plus, is in 3 elementary schools, and Stamped for grades 9 through 12 is in a middle school. I appreciate Mr. Settlemeyer clarifying the professional status for me in a discussion we had recently. My question is, are these books on the shelf? Can a child look at the book while in the library? If so, they need to be secured in a different location. I appreciate your time in this manner. I do not want to, I do want to say that Moms for Liberty is not for banning books. We are for age-appropriate content, the truth, science, and limiting impressionable children's exposure to pornography and inappropriate content that may affect their emotional well-being, family relationships, or forever scar their being. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis.
May I approach with a list of 20 books?
Next on tonight's agenda are consent items presented by Dr. Stover.
Yes, sir. Thank you. In front of you, you do have our consent items. We are looking for approval for those this evening.
I'll make a motion we approve the consent items.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a show of hands and approval for consent items, and that is unanimous. Next on the agenda is approval of 2025-2026 Career Technical Education Comprehensive Local Needs Assessment Budget by Dr. Jeff Eisenhower.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, what you should have received in your packet is a copy of the budget for the 25-26 school year for the CTE program. That is part of the Comprehensive Local Needs Assessment. It's done on a biannual basis. So we are in the mid-year of this, and then so every 2 years we have to do the full needs assessment. This year we just do the budgetary piece. So what I've given you is a copy of the listing of PRC 013 funding source, which deals with months of employment. And just to give you just a little bit of information regarding that, total months of employment received this year was 744 months of employment. We have to take those months and then break that down across the entire CTE program. We are actually down 15 months of employment from what we received last year. We received a cut. So through attrition and some movement of some personnel around, we were able to make that up this year, and we have actually a surplus. We are going to use 726 in this budget, which leaves us 18 unused. We'll keep 8 of those in case there's any reversion of months. 10 of those 18, though, we're going to look at the employment of a health science person that we could use in the district, maybe to move from a couple of schools to do the nursing fundamentals piece. That's our heaviest area of need, is in the health sciences. And so we want to make sure that we're trying to add some adjunct, positions there using those extra months. So what we've done in this budget is to list you the names of personnel, assigned to those positions right now as it stands today. So barring that there are no resignations or any other thing like that, those are the people that are assigned to those positions. And there are still some open spots there to be assigned. On the PRC 014 funding, that's the state funding we receive. That allocation has already been given to us and to the finance department. That's a total of $257,409. We have broken that down in a budget for you and submitted that to the finance department as well, for the system. And then at the end here, I'll answer any questions you have on the budget. On the back side of that page, one of the pages here, if I can find it, is the PRC 017 budget, and that's the federal funding that we receive. And the federal funding deals with program improvement. And so what we do with that is break that down. This money has not been finalized by the state for us. So we took what we are advised to do, as I listed on the top of the page there, is we take 95% of the previous year's funding, and that's how we do our budget. So if that 95% changes when they do finalize this number, then we will adjust that. It's very likely that we will adjust that in line item 5120-411, which is supplies and materials. That's one of the most flexible areas of funding that we have. And so generally when there's a change in those numbers, that's where that goes back to. CTE is very specific in what they want us to address for program improvement. And you can see in the items below in 461, 462, and 541, where we have listed items for the various high schools for program improvement there. I hope I did okay in explaining all that. So if you want me to address any of these specific items listed here, I'll be happy to do that as well. Are there any questions regarding PRC 13, 14, or 17 from a funding perspective for next year?
If no one has any questions, I need a motion to approve the Career Technical Education Comprehensive Local Needs Assessment Budget for 25-26.
I make
Mr.
a
Chairman,
motion. Go
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the 25-26 Career Technical Ed Local Needs Assessment Budget as Dr. Eisenhower has presented it to us.
And I'll second.
Hearing a motion and a second, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for approval by raise of hand. That is unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next is the approval of representatives for Career Technical Education Business Advisory Council for Catawba County Schools, again presented by Dr. Jeff Eisenhower.
So, Mr. Chairman, thank you again. If you remember at a work session, we came to you earlier in the year and talked about both the Newton-Conover City School System and the Catawba County Schools Career and Technical Education Programs wrote in the last comprehensive plan to merge both of our advisory boards into one. So Dr. Stover actually attended one of our joint meetings that we had, and what we did was we brought members from both boards together and asked who wanted to continue to participate, because one of the things we did not want to do was alienate any members from either of those boards, business leaders in the community, with the merger of these two boards. So at that time, I said we would bring back the 4 names for your approval. Newton's got 4 members that have already been approved. So our recommendation for the 4 members starting off are listed here, which is Eddie Chapman, who is part of the Conover Fire Department. Dr. Robin Ross would be a 2-year term. She's with K-64. Sean Brown, who's the mayor of Claremont and also the vice president of Cargo Transporters. And then Katie Fulbright, who is with the Catawba Valley Health Systems, Catawba Valley Medical Center. These folks actually, when they got together from both units, are the ones that determined the number of years that they wanted to serve. We're pleased that Catawba Valley, since the healthcare piece is one of our greatest needs from a job standpoint and an employment standpoint, that she's on there with representing as a 4-year term. There are other, and on the other side, you've got Abernathy Laurel's represented there on the Newton Conover side. So there are other members not listed here that are not approved, but we do, and I want to tell you, we do invite those members to those meetings every time. The president of the Chamber of Commerce, the director of the Western Piedmont Council of Government, they are not voting members or acting members there, but we do invite them because of their position with economic development. And there are a couple other folks that come as well. These are subject to open meetings laws, so we would ask you, if you are interested in coming to any of these meetings that we have, you're certainly more than welcome. And we value anybody's input from a community perspective to advise both districts on their movements with the CTE program. I don't know if Dr. Sober wants to add anything to this. I know he was there present, but we believe this is a good thing. We've tried to get Hickory City to join us with this, since all 3 school districts' CTE programs are after the same thing, which is to connect young people to the workforce and the prosperity. So we ask tonight for your approval of these individuals to serve as representatives for the Business Advisory Council on the Catawba County side. I'll entertain any questions at this time.
Eisenhower, was there a reason Hickory City didn't participate, or they're just not at that point?
Well, we believe they didn't, because at that time they had a transition of a new superintendent, Dr. Griffin, and so the 3 CTE directors meet monthly with K-64, and we have discussions on issues and agenda items that we're looking at and things that we participate in. But we believe it simply at the time that she just was not ready, as, in that position. But we still collaborate, but not from an advisory board standpoint. But we're still going to continue to ask them if they'd like to participate. So,
If there are no further questions, I would need a motion to approve the representative for Career Technical Education Business Advisory Council for Catawba County Schools.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Hearing a motion and a second, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I look for a raise of hand for approval for representative for Career Technical Education Business Advisory, Catawba County Schools. That's unanimous. All right, next on the agenda is approval of quote to purchase a tractor for educational program, agricultural program at Bandy's High School, again presented by Dr. Jeff Eisenhower.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman. I probably, without a doubt, have the best job in Catawba County Schools, because there are days I get to go sit on tractors and drive them around and test them out and see how they do and get quotes. And so, so we are seeking approval of this purchase request for a tractor that will go to Bandy's High School. The current tractor at Bandy's High School is starting to get some age on it. It's a smaller tractor, so with some of the work that has to be done around there, particularly when it comes to bush hogging with the hills and undulations, actually, I've taken my own tractor out there to do some bush hogging because I just don't trust the smaller tractor with some of the things they've done. They've done some landscaping out there recently, so the smaller tractor will still remain, but we're starting to get to the point where we've got some repair issues with it, and it's just a little smaller than what they need for their use out there. This tractor that we're looking at here for purchase mirrors the same type of tractor that we purchased about 2 years ago for Fred T. Ford High School, and we have 3 quotes here, the lowest coming from James Rivers Equipment. This is a 44 horsepower tractor. I've given you all the quotes here from the 3 to look at. There's some equivalency to these. There are a few different minor differences. Some might be with design. For example, some had diesel tanks underneath where you step up on that tractor. So we try to look at all of those factors when we're doing this. So we have purchased this similar tractor before. It is the lowest bid. It's the John Deere 44M compact tractor. So far the one that we had purchased before has been good. So we asked for your approval of this purchase. I asked Dr. Maynard if he was going to stick around. He didn't. He might not get that. Oh, there he is. So yeah. Yeah. So if we will entertain any questions on this, if you so approve.
So what are you gonna do with the old tractor? You said you're gonna keep it, but
We're gonna
plan.
keep it there just
Right.
because of the work that goes on around the farm. They've expanded some things there with the farm, new fencing. So they still do a lot of work with that tractor there. The other thing that we are requiring as part of our safety plan, Mr. Chairman, I'm glad you asked this question, is that all students will be required, and any adults that use this tractor to have tractor certification for safety purposes. So, and that's across the entire district, the entire CTE program.
I have a question.
Yes,
I was wanting to find out, does this have like some type of, like, I guess, a warranty or some type of service agreement or anything like that? Or is that just a purchase of the tractor itself?
No, there is a service agreement that comes with it. I want to say that's a 3-year agreement, but that's typically what they come with, is a standard 3-year agreement with them, but I don't know if that's listed on the quote here. But that is typical. We also try, Ms. Tigg, we also try to purchase our first attempt at any purchase is to try to buy from companies or individuals, organizations within the boundaries of Catawba County. We like to keep our tax dollars here if we can do that, so. Yeah, James Rivers, and that's one of the other things. That's another positive about looking at this is James Rivers has dealership just right over here on 321. All 3 of these dealers are located right here within probably a mile of where we're at here. So that's what we did. One is just right down the street here. All good companies, all good to work with. But we are trying to get the lowest bid too, so.
We do something to showcase this tractor next year at Ag Day if we decide to purchase this.
I'm sure it will be front and center,
Right.
Chairman.
All right, if there's no further questions, I look for a motion to approve the purchase of a tractor for agricultural program at Bandy's High School.
I make the motion to purchase the tractor.
Second. Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I look for approval by raise of hand. And that's unanimous. Thank you, Dr. Eisenhower.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We appreciate you supporting career and technical education.
Yes, sir. Next on the agenda is approval of 2025-2026 alternate school accountability model for Catawba Rosenwald Education Center, presented by Mr. Lee Miller.
Thank you, Chairman Sillemeyer. Board members, good evening. I have 3 items for you tonight. The first is seeking your approval of the alternate school accountability model for Catawba Rosenwald. We're asking the board to approve option B. This is the option that we have operated under for the last several years with Catawba Rosenwald. And option B sends test scores back from those students to their base school. And then Catawba Rosenwald receives a school grade, an alternate school grade, in correlation to the largest number of students they have from whatever school. So it could be St. Stephen's, Bunker Hill, whatever. They would receive the same score as that school with an alternate designation. They also receive a rating of, it's a 20/20/60 model, and they receive a rating of progressing, maintaining, or declining based on their own achievement. And that's 20% persistence, the number of kids that remain enrolled, 20% achievement, and 60% student growth. And all this is under the option B that we're asking you to approve tonight. Any questions?
Is this something that comes up every year we do this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that we approve the 25-26 alternate school accountability model for Catawba Rosenwald as it's been presented using Model B.
I second.
Hearing a motion and a second, is there any further discussion? All right, I look for a sign of raised hand for approval, and that is unanimous.
All right, thank you. The second item is really just for your awareness. I was asked to research some bullying programs. There were 4 that I identified. We can always go back and expand that list if we need to. But the 4 that I identified, Second Step, OAS, Catawba, and Rachel's Challenge. I presented this information to the board. You have that in your packet. I'm not going to read everything to you unless you just want me to. I doubt that you do. I will hit some of the highlights from each of those programs. We've had access to Second Step for a number of years in Catawba County. We have 1 more year of access to Second Step, and then that subscription will run out. OAS is a program that really was founded through Clemson University and a professor there. It's a K-12 program. Catawba is a program, when I did my research, it kept popping up, and I met with representatives this morning, and I hate it was so late, but it was the first time that they can meet. They're actually in Finland. And so we met early this morning. It was afternoon their time, and their program is K through 9th grade. And Rachel's Challenge, which we're familiar with in Catawba County if you've been around for a while, is a K-12 program. But I did meet with the OAS representatives and the Catawba representatives about their different programs. There's the chart there that you can see. Some information is broken down as far as the training that's required and the approximate cost. I can tell you that the OAS program is expensive. It's probably the most comprehensive program of the 4, but it is expensive. You can see there it's about $110,000 for the training that it would take for our entire district. And then it's $550 a year for each school after that initial year. And there's a survey that you take as you start the program, and then every year you would continue to take that same survey the same time of year to measure your progress. And I did get a number today from Catawba, and that number is about, it depends, they gave me the number in euros. So I did some conversion, thank goodness for Google. And it's about $95,000 a year, and that is each year. Rachel's challenge is about $5 per student, and they like to claim that they offer a lot of different sponsorships and grants for districts that they partner with. Oh. No, I'm not sure. If we scroll through, thank you. Second step overview. Again, I want to read each slide to you. This is a sequenced manner, allowing students to practice and build confidence in handling bullying scenarios. And I think you'll find that with each program, they really work to identify exactly what is bullying and how you can, as a bystander, stop bullying, or what you should do if you're the victim, how you should react. So all those programs really share that same type of approach to bullying. Some of it is just, again, more comprehensive than others, and the training in each program varies quite a bit as well. With second step, it's typically done through modules that the staff will complete. The principal or the school leader, whoever is assigned to this, would try to lead that and get a lap lead, as we like to say, and then the staff would complete the modules, and then they would go through that sequentially with their students. The next program I'll mention is the OAS program. Again, the most comprehensive of the four, and they identify different types of bullying, physical, verbal, relational, and cyberbullying, and teach about appropriate responses for bystanders, victims, and adults, and promote skills for resolving conflicts and preventing bullying situations. The lessons can be done weekly or bi-weekly, depending on what the school would prefer. And they discuss bullying, peer relations, and pro-social behavior. And the survey, which I mentioned earlier, really drives what you do with this program. That's something that they continue to mention in our meeting, is how important the survey is to what you do and the decisions you make about how you move forward within the program. It would require some extensive training. We would send someone from each school to be a school leader. That is, I believe, a 3-day training, and then they come back and they train their school team. And that's typically a 1 or a 2-day training. And then the school team trains everyone on the staff, everyone from teachers to classified staff, our child nutrition staff, bus drivers, everyone in the school would receive training under this program. The good news is, I mentioned the price earlier, it is an expensive startup, but after that first year in the initial training, then it's $550 a year. And
For the whole school system would be $550 or
that's
per
per
school?
school.
Per school.
Per school, yes, sir. I kind of mentioned the implementation steps of the OAS program and the training that's involved, and how it starts with a lead trainer from each school, and then they train the leadership team from the school that you would create, and then that team trains the entire staff, and you would start to roll it out with students. Great question, yes, Mr. Goforth, great question. They assign each team a OAS mentor that checks in with them regularly and their progress, and provides guidance throughout that process. I hope that answers. The next program, Catawba, is the one I met with those folks today out of Finland. Just to be honest with you, I think the barrier between the United States and Finland, and the fact that I asked this question, they are in other countries, but they are not working with any districts in the United States, which is a little intriguing, but it's also a little worrisome in the fact that it is not really active here, and it is expensive. Like I said, it's going to be probably the neighborhood of about $90,000 if my euro to dollars translation is correct, and that's annually. And I just don't know that we have those funds, but if the board wants to look further than that, we certainly can. The training is a 1-week training. It can be virtual, but they recommend sending someone to Finland for that. I would volunteer if you want to send me.
We send somebody there, or they send somebody here?
No, we would send someone there.
Oh, there you
Yeah.
go. Okay.
And we have volunteers on the board too. It would, like I said, it would be a week training for that person, and they would come back, and then they would start training team members here, leaders here, that would then train folks within their school. They have lessons that can be divided up, kind of like the WES program. You can divide it up. You can do 1 or 2 a month. You can even do weekly lessons. But you receive all of their materials are part of that price that I mentioned. And they also have a survey as well that you would conduct annually to determine your progress. And then the last program that I'll mention is...
Could I ask a quick question?
Sorry.
Just fixed on the, what is it, OAS?
OAS?
Each year the schools will pay the $550. I mean, is that for a certain amount of years we can do that, or is that?
It's my understanding that once you've received the training,
Right.
then you're okay from there. That 110 that I've listed, 1,000 that I've listed as that startup cost, you would be good as long as you continued it and you kept the training up within your district and you didn't have a lapse. I think you would be fine. And then it's $550 a year per school.
Thank you, thank you.
Like I was saying about Catawba, they have a survey as well that they feel is very important to measure your progress annually and help you determine next action steps. And then the last program, Rachel's Challenge, which we, in 2012, I went back with the help of Maria Ballard. I knew we did this, but I could not remember the year. I asked Maria to help me, and I narrowed it down somewhere between 2010 and 12, and it was 2012 when we actually started this program in Catawba County. It was actually born out of the tragedy at Columbine. Rachel Scott was a victim at Columbine. Her family, her dad in particular, started this program after that tragedy in her honor, memory. And it's a program that, from what I can remember, it's fairly simple, straightforward, and it's something that's sequential, and your staff and your students kind of learn this together as you go. And it's really about creating the culture within your schools. We are one, we are together. You create clubs that want to promote kindness and collaboration. There are 5 challenges around empathy and self-confidence, decision-making, and resilience that are at the core of Rachel's Challenge. And I can remember, and I actually have seen these banners still in some of our schools where kids would sign and they accepted Rachel's Challenge to be kind and those things that I mentioned earlier. Ms. Davis, I want to say 3, but I'll ask Maria to help me dig through that.
I was curious also, Mr. Miller, why did we stop?
I don't know, Dr. Barnett, to be honest with you. I think at the time, our district leadership changed in that time frame. And I think, sometimes things just fade out. I don't think there was ever really a conscious decision, hey, let's not do this anymore. It just faded away, unfortunately.
Agree. I think that's why you still see the banners in some schools. Some are still practicing, I think.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I was wanting to know if there was a way, depending on which one that we actually may decide to go with, if there's a way to like get some type of demo or way of like looking up the curriculum or whatever, like some type of information as far as what.
I asked OS if they would send us some of their curriculum, and they will not because the copyright, they're afraid we'll copy it and then do our own thing. Kaiva, same response. I asked them, but they did say that they would present to the board. I'm sure that would have to be virtually, of course. So that's not a real easy answer, unfortunately, Ms. T. Now, Rachel's challenge, second steps, we have that curriculum already. You're welcome to see that anytime. Rachel's challenge, I don't know, honestly. From what I remember about it, there wasn't a ton of materials that came with it. It's basically just giving you these ideas and startup steps to create these clubs, and this discussion about kindness and inclusion and things like that, making sure that kids aren't left out. I will say
Miller,
Rachel's challenge
Mr. Miller,
is,
are we looking to move from second step?
that would be a decision, I guess, of the board, because, again, we do have second step for one more year after the current. And we have not done a lot with the bullying module of second step, but it is there and it is available to us.
Do we have any feedback on how it's working? Or what the staff reaction or student reaction is?
Honestly, Dr. Bennett, no, I can't say that we do.
Dr. Barnett, Mr. Miller has been working on this for a good while because I had spoken with Tim and Clayton about it because of conversations with teachers and with parents who had actually requested that we look into something that was specific to bullying. So I had talked to Mr. Miller, and he said that with our second steps, there are things woven into the second steps that does discuss bullying, but it's not specific to that. And that was something that was brought to me from multiple parents and from teachers, and I'm trying to bring these things forward so that we can look at these things and see if the board, would be willing to look at some of these things that teachers and parents are asking for. And when we spoke about it before, it wasn't that we wanted to replace anything, it was bringing something else to it. But again, you had talked about you weren't sure how that would work as far as bringing this program in with what we already had in place.
I think second step has the module I spoke of. And I wouldn't call it a comprehensive program like the other three are. So I think the board would just have to consider, does it want to adopt a comprehensive program or stay more with just kind of the module within second step program? That'd be something the board would need to decide, I think. I will say this, and I thought the folks at OS brought up a great point, because they asked, would we be wanting to do this as an entire district at the same time, or do some pilot schools and then try to spread? I said, I really don't know the answer to that. And they said, well, from our experience, it's not going to be successful until your folks are ready for it. So I thought, and that's true with any initiative, really. So I think if we decide to adopt a comprehensive program, I think that's great, but I think we need to lay some groundwork for it to be successful as we would move forward with it.
I have a question, another one. I was wondering, as far as like the second step, do we know because we've had that for a while, and I was wondering, has there been like any additional updates to that curriculum at all since we've implemented that?
To my knowledge, Ms. T, I think it's updated. They update their program yearly, not an overhaul, but they update bits and pieces of it yearly, because everything now we pretty much access it online. But I can't speak to whether it's been a complete overhaul. I'm saying there hasn't been, but they do make adjustments.
If I could just add one thing, I think whatever the board would like to look at, we do have second steps through the 25, 26 paid for, but it is a good time to review things that you might want to do in the future. I agree with Mr. Miller on laying the groundwork, but I would also add to that is and we talk about this all the time, if we add something, we need to take something away. That way it's done right and we have time to carry it out, or teachers can't do it all, right? So if we continue to study it, bring you guys different things, and then we're intentional we have a year to roll it out or something like that, I think that would definitely be a smart move to make it last. And the other thing too is if you want to look at something that involves, $100-some thousand, we'll need a budget for that, in the future, because that is a pretty large item to budget for. Oh yeah, and the last part, I'm sorry, Mr. Anything that we do with surveys, no problem. We just have to have parent permission first, because of the Parent Bill of Rights. So we just make sure that we have that sent out and people know what's in it. We were doing a survey in Second Steps before, but that was kind of met with some resistance even through parent permission. And so we stopped. And so we don't survey the kids because we didn't want to, hurt families or teachers who are trying to do it. So again, anytime you survey students, we just need to get permission. We need to make it very transparent to the parents of what their child could be asked.
Are you saying that the current Second Steps program that you have in place right now would need to be replaced with this one, or could this one be woven into, is the specific bullying program going to be woven into what we already have in place?
If you went with a comprehensive program,
Or if we went with the Second Steps
Okay.
that we already have paid for already for another year, would just be added and woven into what we already have, or do we still have to take away, like he's saying, take away?
Now, if it's a module, if we do a 5 to 6 week module with kids, that's just part of this program. So we do it all year. That's just one of the modules. The other programs that have been presented tonight are all year, all inclusive. So that's why you would have to take away one or the other.
That's what you were talking about, taking one. You would put the bullying module in, but you would take one of the other modules out.
I think with Second Step, because it is just a module, we'd be okay just to add that into it. But with the other programs, like Dr. Stover mentioned, I think you would have to look at what are you going to take off the plate, because we're adding such a large comprehensive program to the plate.
Gotcha, okay. Do we track bullying incidents? Do you know what's our most common, like cyberbullying, or do you have that data? If not handy,
I
could you
don't
just?
have it. Mr. Ramsey and I were just talking about this today, not necessarily bullying, but about our discipline records. And we've got some cleanup on aisle 9 to do, because with the new Infinite Campus system, teachers can go in and they just click office referral, okay? And when an administrator goes in to take care of that, they must then read the referral and click or determine, is it verbal bullying? Is it just aggressive behavior? Is it just misbehavior or something? And so we've got some schools that have to go back, and administrators have to go in and make a classification of what that behavior, where it falls, and not just an office referral. So we've got a plan for that. And once that's completed, we will have data on bullying and really all discipline. But I would venture to say, just in my experience, most bullying that we see is verbal. Yes, sir.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. I am happy to continue to look at programs if the board wants me to do that. So you just let me know how I can help.
Thank you for your presentation on those items. Are there any further questions for Mr. Miller at this time? Hearing none, let's go ahead and move to approval of the 3-year contract between Catawba County Council on Adolescents and Catawba County Board of Education.
Thank you. We are seeking the board's approval for the contract agreement with the Council on Adolescents. The council provides puberty and reproductive health and safety education classes for our 6th through 9th grade students. And their content is aligned with our state healthful living standards and meets the requirement of state legislation to teach reproductive health. The agreement is for 3 years. It's the same as our previous agreement that we have in place for 3 years. And the cost is $37,050 annually. And those funds would come from curriculum instruction budget. Any questions I can help with?
How many years have we been using the Council on Adolescence for
No.
this?
Mr. Settlemeyer, I was trying to look that up as well, and I don't know, I do know it's been at least 10. And what we do, we require parent permission for a child to be involved in the program. If we do not get a permission slip back, the child does not participate. You have to have a signed parent permission form to be involved in the program. You can see there, it's a 4-day program for grades 7, 8, 9, a 3-day program for our 6th graders. Any questions?
So what happens to the kids that don't participate? Is that by school basis or,
Yes.
okay?
This is typically done in science classes at the middle school level. And that's oftentimes where we'll have some parents opt out. And they're just assigned to a different class during that time period. I polled principals because I was interested in how many parents opt in, because again, you have to have a signed permission slip. And it was 3 to 5 students per grade level per school. They said they typically have opt in or not opt in to the program. Any other questions?
Hearing no further questions, look for a motion for approval of the 2025 to 2028 contract between Catawba County Council on Adolescence and Catawba County Board of Education.
I'll second.
Hearing a motion and a second, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor show raise of hand. And that is unanimous.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is approval of 2025-2026 proposed student transfer spaces for Catawba County Schools, presented by Mr. Dan Moore.
Thank you, Chairman Settlemeyer, members of the board, Dr. Stover. Before you, you have our proposed student transfer spaces for the 25-26 school year. At the elementary level, most of those are going to be in the upper grades. We try our best to accommodate any request that we have as long as that child is in good standing. And I'll seek your approval of these proposed transfer spaces, but also seek your grace in that this ebbs and flows as the summer goes. People come in, people leave, and what we like to do is reach out to our principals to make sure that we are or can accommodate, or if in fact they've received an influx of students at one grade level and can't accept. So it's a conversation that really starts about mid-June all the way up until about the week before school starts, because kindergarten is the most difficult to be able to predict. So again, we try to accommodate as many requests as we can. That will begin June 2nd. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have as well.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the transfer spaces that have been presented to us tonight.
I'll second.
Hearing a motion and a second, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor show a raise of hand. That's unanimous. Next on the agenda is approval of construction change directive number 1 for Balls Creek Elementary preschool project.
Yes, sir. This is an omission, an error. We should have had this as part of the actual bid process, but this is to add a 20-year, no dollar limit warranty for this roof system as part of this PK project. It's in the amount of $1,057. We have $10,000 in contingency for this project, so it would leave $8,943 in contingency funds for the remainder. So this is just something that we should have had in the original bid, and it was omitted, and we want to clean it up and make sure that that 20-year warranty is applied to this project.
Are there any questions for Mr. Moore on this? Hearing none, I seek a motion for approval of construction change directive number 1 for Balls Creek Elementary preschool project.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Hearing a motion and a second, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then show of favor of hands. That is unanimous.
Thank you.
Next is the approval of individual project proposal agreement between Catawba County Board of Education and Design Consultant, REI Engineers Incorporated, for partial roof replacement at Maiden High School.
Yes, sir. This is for REI to begin the process of creating construction documents and managing the construction project to mitigate most of the issues that we face Maiden High School with the improper installation of that metal roof. This is the firm that you also approved to serve in this capacity. The total amount is $143,334. Roughly $85,000 for contract documents, $58,334 for construction administration, and I would seek your approval of this agreement at this time.
Are there any questions for Mr. Moore on this? If not, I seek a motion for approval of individual project proposal agreement between Catawba County Board of Education and Design Consultant, REI Engineers Incorporated, for partial roof replacement at Maiden High School.
I make a motion for the individual project proposal agreement.
I'll second.
Hearing a motion and a second, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, and show of approval, raise of hand. That is unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Number 10 has been removed. On to number 11, review of board goals and action steps for Catawba County Boards of Education, presented by me. So last year, the other board, we approved these goals, start working on, and most of them are still in progress. So if you had time to read over these, there's something that you're really passionate about in here, please let me know. Do we still have the sheet that Mr. Taylor had that had assigned people to this, or?
The original sheet that Mr. Taylor assigned was just for us to work on getting the plan together,
Okay.
not actually being in charge of that.
Right.
I can't say that most of these are still in progress, Mr. Settlemeyer. In fact, none of them have been implemented that I'm aware of. Maybe a few where we've asked for the staff, professional staff, to let us know about staff development and some other things. But that was my request in bringing this, asking it to be put on the agenda tonight, because we haven't done anything towards our goals.
Oh, we did do a video, one of the working sessions.
I think maybe the way to go is for us to, we've had this for several weeks or a week at least to look at it whenever we got our material. that we need to just go ahead and jump in and start to work on those that can be done, and set some priorities on where to begin and just start working it.
I definitely would agree that we do need a Board of Operations handbook. A handbook should have been done many moons ago, but we could definitely do that, and that should take care of a lot of these things that are in here already. What I believe. I would set up training hours. It would discuss the videos before each working session. We could possibly have training for the Robert's Rules of Order. Notes on the meeting agenda for items of the strategic plan. How would we make that look? That's something we could look at during our monthly meeting to see what would, planning and goals, number 5.
You could incorporate that as part of each meeting, but I think the issue is to identify what is meeting the strategic plan goals. What are you doing? What's the board doing? Dr. Stover, but you can do it at each
I
meeting.
think it's how the business that we're conducting each month is related to our strategic plan
Yeah.
in the big picture.
Yeah.
And it may be, Mr. Settlemyer, that you'll want to start with some of these and assign us to get it rolling for the rest of the board.
I think you're right. I think I'll set up a sheet, sort of like Mr. Taylor did, and assign some different sections in here. And I know one that was assigned under me before when Mr. Taylor was here was getting the policies searchable, and we're pretty close on that, right?
Are very, very close. There's about, I'd say 5 to 8. We refer to them as beasts, and they require some extra thought.
Okay.
In fact, example is dual employment, those biggies that personnel.
Okay.
But yeah, we're right on target with that.
Okay. So if it pleases the rest of the board, I would take till June 9th, and I can have everybody a section in here to work on and look at, and have that updated by our June 9th meeting. Is that satisfactory? Okay. Thank you. Next on the agenda is information on letter from United States Department of Education presented by Dr. Stover.
Thank you, Chairman Settlemyer. So a question came up about what has Catawba County Schools done in response to President Trump executive order through our state federal law under Title IX, and ensuring that we don't have unfair hiring practices or discriminate against any race, religion, etc. And so our state had already verified that we are not doing that, but I also signed the letter from that I acknowledge that Catawba County Schools is not discriminating in any hiring practices, and we meet all of the things noted in the letter I put in your packet for you. So we were able to do that pretty quick. We've never had those. We've always followed the law, and so that was kind of one of those easier things to work through. Thankful to say. Is there any questions about that tonight?
Stover, have we ever had to sign this before?
First time.
So we've not had any problem with Title VI before this, or been asked to?
Nope, we've never had to. It's federal, and then our state said that we were complying, and then we had to say that we were complying, so we continue to get our federal funds, and we are in compliance.
So it's more of a political move than anything that's actually happening in our system, that it's more of a political stance rather than anything that's changing anything for students or the community.
I can attest that none of these things in this letter are happening in our school system.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
like to say that Wake County schools, ended up having to, I guess they lost money. I forget how much money it was, but they ended up losing money.
I think
They
some
didn't-
school
they
systems had
didn't-
some practices that may or may not have been defined. I don't know, I'm not there, I shouldn't talk for them, but to your point, though, as far as Catawba County Schools is going, I can very clearly state that we are in compliance. Yes.
I know that Dr. Green, the state superintendent, also sent out a letter and
Yes.
followed up with it. What was the basis of that, or what was his recommendations there? Go ahead.
Okay. Well, and I'll thank Crystal for this. She, what I didn't realize was he actually took up for the state prior to say, we follow the laws, and I'll let her explain further because I want to be careful, but basically, these laws can be interpreted differently. And so that's what the extent of that is. Anything you want to add?
Yeah. Basically, what I'm going to give you a little backstory. The state of New York challenged this very request by the Trump administration. And this was a request that was sent out to all school districts from the Department of Education to certify this to their state superintendents. And the state of New York challenged the Trump administration and basically said, we've already certified that we comply with the law. We don't know what your terms in this certification request, we don't know what they mean. And we don't have to sign something again saying that we are going to comply with the law. We've already done that. And so other state superintendents, of course, reviewed the requirement for this certification that's every superintendent submit to their state superintendent, right? That was the requirement. And the superintendents were not given an option. They had to review everything and determine. Dr. Stover did that and signed it. What was flagged by Superintendent Green is that, number one, and I'm just reading from the letter, and if the board would like me to forward this, I will. From Dr. Mo Green, yes. North Carolina DPI and all North Carolina LEAs have already certified that they do and will comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Acts of 1964 and its implementing regulations and applicable laws. So that was, again, what you mentioned. He also pointed out that the request by the U.S. Department of Education for certification makes broad statements about diversity, equity, and inclusion without defining what those specific practices might what of those specific practices might violate Title VI and other laws. And so he concludes with, in conformity with the request, North Carolina DPI asked the LEAs to complete the certification by April 16th. And he acknowledged, Superintendent Green acknowledged that the superintendents had done that. However, he said, it's our understanding, and we have communicated the same to North Carolina LEAs, that the assurances are limited to the department's current legal authority, meaning the U.S. Department of Education's current legal authority. In other words, Mo Green was clarifying that we are complying with the law of the United States, and that the U.S. Department of Education does not necessarily, their interpretation of that law does not necessarily mean that we have to that the superintendents have to comply with their interpretation, because what he's saying is it's not defined. Therefore, we are providing the certification attached with the following clarification, and here's the quote. To the best of their knowledge, the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction and all local education agencies in North Carolina assure the U.S. Department of Education that they comply with Title VI. This assurance by NCDPI on behalf of itself and all local education agencies in North Carolina is limited to those legal obligations authorized by law. So they qualified this certification, even though this actual certification was not changed. So, there's, of course, the signature. He said we remain committed, but that is what the superintendent of Mo Green, the superintendent of North Carolina, actually qualified the certification.
Will this require that we do differently?
At this time, nothing.
I appreciate you sharing this with us. You know, we read so much about this, we hear about it. Didn't hear a word from our administration about if it had been received or what. So I appreciate you sharing it with us. I mean, I have copies of it, I've read it, but I was just surprised it was never shared with the board, what your interpretation was of what you've certified us to be and do.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't bring that forward to you. We've been following these practices as long as I've been here. So for us, it was just certifying what we're already doing, and we're following the law.
So basically, they ask you just to sign a letter saying that you're already doing these things that.
Because we are following the law and all the hiring practices, and following Title VI, Title IX.
Thank you for your presentation. Is there
Yes.
any further discussion on this? Hearing none, move to number 13, discussion on the statewide bond proposal presented by Dr. Stover.
Yes, this was brought up as far as whether our board wanted to support Governor Stein's mention of the, I think it was, gosh, I had it the other day, anyhow, I think it's $4 billion state bond that he's going to be encouraging our legislators to look at. And certainly, I know Mr. Settlemeyer did some looking into it as well. I don't know if anyone else did, Dr. Barnett, if you had a chance to. I went through the state budget, and I didn't see it in the budget announcement, but I found paper clippings of what, some of the things were. I know Mr. Settlemeyer found that Catawba County could stand to get maybe $46 million out of the $4 billion if the state bond was put on a ballot and passed. And so the question is this something we want our board to support with our elected officials in Raleigh?
You say that, you mean drafting a letter and sending it to them saying, hey, we support?
Yeah, it could be a letter. I could
Statewide
I could put anything together for you all. We all obviously know that we're in a position of needing facility dollars as we grow. And as we've said, we can use any penny. And in fact, as our legislative team met with our elected officials in January, this is one of the things we asked them to consider when they were going into legislative session. Not only just whether it was a state bond referendum, but also earmarking funds for our growth in Catawba County for such things as core capacity needs at all of our schools. So that we have talked about that verbally. So anything on top of that you all would like to do, I'd be happy to be a letter writer, messenger, however you would like to do that.
I had talked to Mr. Settlemeyer and had asked you and Mr. Settlemeyer to put this on the agenda tonight. And when I talked to Mr. Settlemeyer, I explained to him that I would really like to see us write a letter, draft a resolution or something to our local officials, asking them to encourage, or in their own chambers, to put a capital bill project, a bond referendum in their own budgets. I thought it's a great time. We know, but based on the McKissick study, how much we need over the next 10 years to carry out the plan we want to, and that the governor has said he's in favor of it. If we could get both the House and the Senate to put a bond referendum in their budgets, we'd be more likely to get one. If it's in just the governor's budget, we're likely not to get it. Or it would have to be dropped to be agreed upon. But if both chambers of our General Assembly and the governor had it in their budget, it would be much more likely that we would get that referendum. And that was my suggestion, and not a particular amount, but just that there be a referendum is what I was suggesting. And to that end, I would make a motion that we ask Dr. Stover to either draft a letter or a resolution, whatever the board prefers, just encouraging our local representatives to include a bond referendum in their own budget as they submit it. And that work's going on right now.
So you've heard a motion to have Dr. Stover draft a letter requesting of our local state representatives, ask them for a statewide bond to help build and renovate schools. Is there a second? I've had a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, show of raise of hand. That is opposed.
Vacation, would it be okay if I drafted it, sent it to you all, y'all kind of gave any input you might want, and that way we can get it moving? And, or would you like me to bring it back to the next meeting?
I would say we draft
good
the
either way.
letter. Yeah, draft the letter, let us look at it, and we can put this on the June 9th agenda.
Okay.
For approval, or,
So I'll have it ready by June 9th.
Can I bring up something? We had, whenever we went through, the training through, I guess the financial, whenever we went, I forgot, it was through the UNC Greensboro. Wasn't there something else besides there was something that they mentioned in that training that might be an option besides the bond? But I was trying to remember what it was, and I can go back and look it up, but I just couldn't remember what that was. Do you remember by
you're
chance?
talking about a special tax.
I believe so, or something. I don't know if it was that. I don't know. I need to go back and look.
Yeah, it's a tax
through the commissioners.
We did hear about that in the training we went to with the county commissioners, but it's something that has to be requested by the commissioners themselves.
Could probably ask them for that if we, or at least maybe talk to them about that if we wanted something like that. I mean, I guess, I don't know. I was trying to remember what it was, and I know it was another option besides bond.
Yeah, it was a special tax, and we could talk about that at a further time, I think would be. Thank you. That's all we have. Our next will be in closed session, and we will take we will reconvene in closed session at 7:45. So can I get a motion to go into closed session?
I make a motion to go into.
Student, I don't think there's any student. Yes, student confidentiality, sorry.
I make that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, shall raise of hand, go into closed session at 7:45. That's unanimous. Gotta get rid of some.